long as the lady called Consolata Wakabudi is sitting in Senate even now.
In a sudden twist that has left the political class murmuring, Gloria Orwoba, the former nominated UDA senator, has withdrawn her petition challenging her removal from the Senate. Inside Milimani's Constitutional and Human Rights Division, her lawyer Ombaso appeared before Justice Chacha Mwita with a short but powerful message. Quote, "It is my request that the petition be marked as withdrawn." With those few words, Orwoba's legal battle, one that had drawn the attention of the political elite and the public alike, was brought to an abrupt close.
Every single person that has worked in parliament or has had an interaction in parliament will tell you there is sexual harassment in parliament. They will tell you they don't speak about it because this is what happens to you when you speak about it.
This is the same petition Orwoba had filed on August 20th, 2025. In it, she challenged a Gazette notice dated May 21st that had declared her Senate seat vacant. She had asked the High Court to stop her removal, to block her replacement Consolata Wabwire, and to declare the actions of UDA, the Senate, the IEBC, and the Registrar of Political Parties unconstitutional.
I think because I said I'm not going to sleep with this guy and I don't want to participate in his sexual advances, that is why I am being removed from certain trips, I'm being removed from certain legislative agenda, my bills are being put at the back. That is why I'm being targeted with unlawful and all sorts of crazy things and shenanigans, such as 6 months suspension. That is why also, as you can see, they forced me to put in an apology, which Jeremiah Nyegenye, through that committee that prepared, added his name. And remember when I was telling you people that this guy is going to use this thing in court, he went and used it in court as a submission.
Her argument was clear. Her removal was unlawful, defective, and a violation of her political rights. At the very heart of her case was a plea for fairness, a demand that Kenya's democracy should not be reduced to arbitrary expulsions and political muscle.
I've written an official letter to Parliamentary Service Commission, to the Chair of Parliamentary Service Commission, Mr. Wetangula, the Speaker of the National Assembly. They ignored my letter. I have complained within the powers that be in Senate, including to the Speaker. They have ignored all my complaints. I complained in the official WhatsApp group that...
But now that case is gone, withdrawn, closed. And yet, here is the puzzle. Just 2 days before she went to court, the political party's disputes tribunal had ruled in her favor. The tribunal found that UDA's disciplinary proceedings against her were marred by procedural lapses and irregularities. In other words, the party's attempt to expel her was not just flawed, it was unlawful. So why walk away? One moment, Orwoba had the weight of the law on her side, and the next, she surrendered the fight. For her supporters, it is a bitter contradiction. If the tribunal had handed her the victory, why abandon the battle at the High Court? This is where the whispers of Kenya's political corridors grow louder. Was Gloria Orwoba persuaded to step back? Was pressure applied? Was she coerced into silence by unseen forces inside UDA or beyond?
The matter was brought to Parliament through him, because he's the one that pushed behind the scenes that it was brought to Parliament when I was absent. They discussed it in my absence. I responded when I was in New York through a video. He took the video, and that is the video that he took to say that he was defamed. Now, I am a believer of the judicial system, and I do believe that as much as there are many legal loopholes that criminals, rapists, murderers are using to win cases, I do believe in the judicial system. That is why I have placed an appeal. I am going to appeal this judgment that has come out. I've had people saying, oh, 10 million, oh, when it rains, it pours, I don't know what. The machinery that is even being used to push this narrative is the UDA machinery that is actually supporting people like Jeremiah Nyegenye to continue with these things that they are doing in Parliament.
Political survival in Kenya is rarely about what happens in the courtroom. It is about negotiations, compromises, and sometimes quiet ultimatums behind closed doors, and Orwoba's case may be no different.
The orders were served to the Senate, to everyone, to UDA. UDA went for an appeal. This morning they tried to seek some orders barring me from coming back. The orders were not given. So I'm here legally to go back to work as per the court's instructions and judgments that came out. And in fact, I even have my badge, everything. I'm really just coming to work. So what is happening is that the speaker, who is the head of this house, is being used to implement illegalities. Because as it stands now, I am the sitting nominating senator. A pronunciation by the courts. They have put in an appeal in the High Court. I can't discuss the matters, but the matter is yet to be heard, so we are waiting to be heard. Until then, I am the sitting senator. And with me, I have everything that they've been.
Her withdrawal leaves us with more questions than answers. Does this mark the end of her political career or a strategic pause before a comeback? And more importantly, what does it say about the rights of politicians, especially women, in a system where party loyalty often trumps the law?
And I mean, we are living the times where we have seen even politicians being put on platforms and being told to turn around so that we can see you're behind. This is a culture that somebody has to say no to. And I know that there's a price to pay to say no to that. And I'm willing and ready and capable to pay the price. Because I was raised as a person who does not exchange sexual favors for whatever. That is not how my father raised me. And anyone who has been in my space knows, in fact, wanasema unajiringa, unajifanya, but that is not who I am. And there are many girls and many women who are finding themselves in compromising situations. You saw how Sabina Chege, actually a woman of her stature and her age, just succumbed to turning around to show her behind. Because that is how the powers that be force it.
Gloria Orwoba's fight was about fairness, but her withdrawal shifts the debate to something else, the invisible weight of political power. The big question now is not just legal, it is moral and political. Was Gloria Orwoba coaxed into silence?
So I want to say this to Jeremiah Nyegenye and to the public that cares to listen. No one has investigated. No one has investigated. Ever since I put up and said, listen guys, this guy is punishing me for saying no, not one single independent body or person has investigated and found that indeed Jeremiah Nyegenye is innocent.
Newsroom, Maisha TV, Reader Kering Chebet.